Guys, this is Mr. Joshy J, and in this video, I'm going to talk about Manchester United fans versus the Glazers. So, right, this is now becoming like a civil war between Manchester United fans and the Glazers. Manchester United fans have had enough of how they've been treated the last 16 years, because the Glazers just not been communicating with us. I like to thank the fans who kept the protest peaceful, outside the stadium. They're the ones who did it right, but the ones who went into the stadium and attacked police officers is completely crossing the line and is totally out of order, and they should definitely be held accountable for criminal damage and for injuring a police officer. You cannot be doing that. That is going a step too far. I'm all for protesting, but as long as you keep it peaceful, that's fine by me. So the ones who kept it peaceful were the ones who doing it right. The ones who went into the stadium and all that overstepped the mark. But hats off to the stewards. They decided to let the fans go into the stadium because they felt if they obstructed the fans, it could have turned very ugly. So, as the Anfield agenda, Craig said on his YouTube channel, he said the stewards did the right thing, allowing them just to go inside the stadium. It was the more safer option, because the safety of the officials, the stewards, and match officials, safety is the number one thing. It's so important that they safely get back to their loved ones. All the security guards, stewards, safety is the number one priority. And the scenes we saw yesterday inside the stadium, I mean, some of them just came in and to say their piece and then just left, but a few were letting off fireworks and letting off flares, which to me, that's just absolutely out of order. You can't, that is going too far. There's protesting and going too far. I appreciate the fans have had enough of the Glazers. Like me, ever since they tried to join the Super League, my hate for them has just gone up another level. And I've always hated the Glazers, that they crossed the line big time. And Manchester United fans are taking a stance and hoisting their frustration. I mean, at Old Trafford yesterday, when the supporters walked in, some were even on the banners where the seats are covered, and some, I mean, they even access the areas where, like, the toilets are and where they serve, like, the tea and coffees and that, outside the stands bit. Wow, it's like, wow, my goodness sake. And of course, like, some of them were wearing masks and some weren't. And they were able to access the area outside the stands. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm still flabbergasted how they found a way in. Maybe if a door was open, that explains how they got into the stadium. But as I said, some just decided to go in, say their piece, and then just leave. Apparently, it took half an hour to empty the stadium, which that's pretty going. Because that could have took about an hour or two to empty the stadium in any other times. I mean, if the media hype this up is back to hooliganism, I think that is going a bit too far. It's nowhere near back to that levels. There's hooliganism, and also, like, throwing objects on the pitch, that is how bad it used to be. But, say like a few banners or something left on the pitch, then that's not too bad. But, if the media say, oh, it's back to like the 70s and the 80s, being football hooligans, I'm sorry, that is overstepping the mark. What they did yesterday, I wouldn't say that was hooliganism and vandalism, but, if they did do criminal damage, then definitely they should be held accountable for it. But to me, it's still nowhere near back to levels in the 70s and the 80s. Thank goodness. But we can really tell that Manchester United fans are now stepping it up. They just absolutely had enough of what is going on at Manchester United. And they are voicing their opinions. A lot of them were talking yesterday saying they don't agree with people going inside the stadium, which I don't, I still think it was wrong going inside the stadium, but to the ones who just said their bit and left straight away, I admire them for that. I don't have a problem with them going in the stadium then, but it's the ones who let off flares and fireworks are the ones I have a problem with, because it's, a shambles to the Manchester United badge. But if the Glazers are watching this, surely this is going to be broadcast all over the world. The biggest football match in England getting called off is a massive statement for English football. But I will be very annoyed if the paper is saying, oh, it's back to football hooligans back in the 70s and the 80s. I'm sorry, that is overstepping the mark. What they did yesterday was just voicing their opinion, and if the Glazers saw they're out on the pitch, the Glazers are now going to be shit scared, I tell you. Wow. I mean, but do they care? No, they don't. And I just cannot see them selling the club, because they've owned it for 16 years, and to them, we're like a business. They don't care about the club. All they care about is just taking money out of the club. I mean, they put us 500 million in debt because of taking out loans and that, which is absolutely disgusting. It's a bit like the Manchester United fans, which I'm disgusted with the ones who went over to Ed Woodward's house and let flares and fireworks off when he's got kids in the house. That is absolutely, totally out of order and disgusting. Because how scared must Ed Woodward's kids been? But my goodness it's just, there's protesting and taking it a bit too far. As I said, the ones outside the stadium who kept it peaceful, they're the ones doing it right. But the ones who went into the stadium, throwing rubbish on the floor, letting off flares and fireworks, that is totally unacceptable and is so wrong in every department. But it was mad, absolute scenes though. What a statement for English football, for fans to break into the stadium. Just, it's absolute madness. But we cannot rest on our laurels, We have got a big fight to get the Glazers out. I mean, it's a battle, and we may win the battle, but we may lose war if we cannot get the Glazers out. So we just need to keep up with the protests, keep them peaceful, stop buying merchandises, stop buying season tickets, and stop buying match day tickets and that. Don't renew memberships, because that's where it hurts the Glazers the most. Now, I was reading reports that Manchester United shirt sales are down. I'm not too sure if it's because Adidas are charging a fortune, or Manchester United fans are just fed up putting money into their Glazers' pockets, because that's what I feel is happening. Manchester United fans have just reached breaking point, and they no longer want to put money in the Glazers' back pocket, which you can't blame them, You absolutely cannot blame Manchester United fans for not putting any money into the Glazers' pocket. The way they've treated us the last 16 years, not communicated with us, taking money out of the club, don't care what the fans have to say, never turned up to fans forum on a Zoom call. Ed Woodward did, and obviously maybe Sir Alex Ferguson and all that, but when the owners not to turn up just shows how much they do not care about the club one bit. So, to the fans going inside yesterday, holding a banner saying we want Glazers out, to me, they said their piece and then just peacefully left and went back outside the stadium, which I don't have a problem with. That's absolutely fine, but it's when there's criminal damage is when there needs to be consequences. But hats off to stewards and that for emptying out the stadium in the space of half an hour. Absolute well done. I look forward to playing the Liverpool match at a later date, but to be honest, fans have got the right to protest, and at the end of the day, it's only a game of football and it can be rescheduled, so it really isn't the end of the world. Was I frustrated the match was called off? Yes. But was I angry? No. Because I thought it was a big statement for English football, that. It is the first time ever a Premier League match got called off due to fans' protest. I mean, we had a match postponed at Old Trafford before when a fake bomb was left behind, and I was at that game against Bournemouth, where I sat in the stands, and all of a sudden I saw one area emptying, and me and my granddad were thinking, what the fuck is going on? And then when it come up match abandoned, I was thinking, right, we better get out of here then. This is really serious, but thankfully it was only like a fake bomb what was left behind on training exercise, and hopefully the company who ever left that behind got fined, but we never heard anything about that. But definitely the fans who did criminal damage and that should definitely be fined, because the Glazers, they have absolutely neglected Old Trafford. I've been there quite a few times, and some of the areas of the stadium are so rusty, it needs a massive refurbishment. So, and really, we had new owners. The first thing I would want, is the new owners to just put money into refurbishing the stadium, because Old Trafford is a beautiful stadium, but it needs a lot of refurbishment. As I said, there's a lot of rust in some areas. The only thing we've done really is added a new pitch surface. So, which that's still in good condition, but we need to do work to the stands and that to make Old Trafford beautiful again. But when you got owners in charge of the club, what can you do? You're pretty much fucked. If you have owners who do not care about the club and who went behind our backs to try and create a Super League and literally wipe out Manchester United's history, no longer being in the Champions League, no longer being in the Premier League. What our history's all about. We've won 13 Premier League titles and 3 UEFA Champions Leagues. So this is what our history is about. And for that to be wiped out, wow, how heartbreaking would that have been. But we cannot rest on our laurels. We still have a long way to go. It's only just the start with the protesting, but we need to keep it up, as I said, by not buying any merchandise or giving money in their back pockets, because that's where it will hurt the Glazers the most, and probably will convince them at the end of the day to sell the club. As Gary Neville says, now is the time to sell Manchester United Football Club. It's time for the Glazers to get out, because the fans have just had enough. They've reached breaking point, and this is why you're seeing all the protesting. The players couldn't even leave the team hotel because Manchester United fans were protesting outside the team's hotel. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the team had to wait inside the hotel, and the 2 coaches were waiting outside. Of course, in the moment, with all the social distancing and the COVID restrictions, you have to travel on 2 team coaches instead of the 1. But come June, hopefully that is about to change, because in the UK, June the 21st is when all restrictions are going to be lifted, and apparently social distancing is going to be scrapped, but mask wearing inside public places like supermarkets and that will remain, which to me, I think the mask remaining is a good idea. We shouldn't ditch that too soon, because even when all restrictions are lifted, I certainly wouldn't want to go in the supermarket unmasked again straight away, I'd rather carry on wearing my mask where I'm in front of a lot of people, because you don't know how many people are being vaccinated and that. But, I will look forward to seeing, when both teams can start walking outside the tunnel again, at the same time, because at the moment it seems weird with like one team coming out and then the next team coming out afterwards. I do miss the days where they both come out together, but hopefully next season, because this weekend a lot of like test pilots are being trialled, like people going into nightclubs and also watching music concerts, not having to wear masks and no social distancing. And if it goes well, I can see football stadiums being back to full capacity next season. And when restaurants reopen, apparently they can be at full capacity. But again, having some safety measures, like having screens across the tables, it will be good for the economy that restaurants can get back to full capacity. Like, for example, in Manchester, before fans go and watch football, a lot of people go to Harry Ransom's fish and chip restaurants and takeaway. So when they get back to full capacity and fans go and watch football matches, the amount of money they would make again would be astronomical. So in the comments, let me know down below what you think of the situation between Manchester United fans and the Glazers. And what do you think of all the protesting? Do you think the fans who were outside the stadium did it right, and the ones who took it too far, do you think they overstepped the mark? Let me know down below what you think. Gosh, a 16-minute video, but there's a lot to talk about, you know. This battle is far from won. We need to keep on going, taking a stance against the Glazers and getting the message loud and clear that we want them out. Out, 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 now. Bye-bye.